covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Welcoming in everybody to the latest edition of Inside the Walls. Zach Kyleman here alongside with my good buddy, pal and co-host Jim Mernier, as we bring you the latest version of the final walkthrough, part of the Inside the Walls podcast during this season. Welcome aboard, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the NAL season so far. We're getting closer and closer to that midweek point. A lot of exciting action, as we talked about earlier this week, happened last week and is adding more implications to what might be going on down the line. Jim, how you doing, man? Have you settled down a little bit since the Sharks got that upset? You kind of back down to reality here? You chilling out? Or are you still pumped up and ready to see the Shark Tank rattle?
I'm ready to see it rattle. It's always going to rattle. Doesn't care.
Well, I know. But it rattles a little extra when there's winning football in Jacksonville.
Yeah, the vibe, you can feel the atmosphere here in Jacksonville changing. A lot of Shark fans, most of you, our listeners, know who we're talking about on all these trap boards. There's energy back in the Shark Tank, and I think Jacksonville found the guy last week in Arvell Nelson that made this offense look like a well-oiled machine. And with Dangerfield coming in now, and with the San Antonio Gunslingers coming in town, the energy in Jacksonville is high, really. Week 7 of the NAL season's coming up, so we're technically 24 hours away. But when this podcast is released, today is midweek. Today is the halfway point of the season. We're 7 weeks away from the NAL Playoff, and we might have a game this week that is pivotal for the postseason already with 7 weeks out. Usually you don't see that in a lot of sporting leagues, especially in the NFL. They're not talking about the postseason week 10. Honestly, you still have 8 weeks left in the year. But overall, the atmosphere in Jacksonville is good. We look at the transaction wires, a couple of questions we can arise about players being suspended. We're not going to get into that. But a few signings that happened in Jacksonville again. Mike Hollis is making his return. Apparently, the kicking situation in Jacksonville, I think Barber is dealing with an injury. Don't know 100% official from that.
Okay.
But the energy that I'm getting down in Orlando is a good vibe. Of course, Carolina's getting ready to prove that they are the best team in the NAL. That last week was a fluke, and they have a great matchup against Albany, who is on a nice little win streak, and they have a little bit of revenge from week 1. So week 7 is here, and I'm ready, honestly.
Nice. And let's get into that Mike Hollis signing a little bit. So first off, that was kind of the big question from people was, is there an injury to, Barber or not? And maybe if not, is it just, because Hollis was signed on at least to participate and try on for the team in the off season. So that was kind of a shocker to see across the transaction wire, but hey, he's activated. He came in this week to get reps. We might be seeing arguably the oldest kicker in football, and one of the oldest kickers in football history, make a field goal over this weekend.
Yeah, it will actually set the record, honestly. If he kicks in tomorrow's game, he will be the oldest field goal kicker to ever kick in a professional game, beating Adventari's record. So that's an interesting feat. Hey, I don't care if you're 50, 60, or 70. If you can still kick a ball and you still have passions to kicking the ball and you kick the ball good enough, why the heck not? I don't blame him. If you're watching the Sharks over the year, a lot of Shark fans have been like, why not? Make him try. What's the worst that can happen?
Oh, sure.
So,
he had some interesting, or I would say unique quotes about kicking an arena, for himself. Because it wasn't just the Sharks that wrote about it on their site. Local affiliates or local news sources down in Jacksonville wrote at the time about it. And
NBC News Channel 12.
Yeah, and he was talking about how it's like, kickers in arena sometimes overthink how to kick. And it's like, just trust your instincts and you'll usually get it straight and true. So I'm hoping that his instincts pay off when he's in there. I think it's just a cool story for the league, So, I mean, it was nice to see that he signed on again. So that was nice.
You got people out there that say this is a money grab. Okay. There's no money grabs in the arena game.
I was going to say,
this is just a money grab. No, he's not getting paid what he used to get paid in the national. He played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He made a lot of money.
Can you just have fun? Let's just have. How about fun? Like he's in his his city that adored him in the early years of the Jaguars. Why not just let the guy have a little fun, man? Like
it's like when people lost their minds that Brett Favre was coaching high school and actually playing high school football with the high school receivers. They're like, why is he doing this? Because he has the love of the game. Like, if he's out there, he wants to do it. The guy's retired. This is basically a part-time gig. Why not do it? But yeah, it's for me as a fan, I'm really intrigued to watch this. I want to see how it happens and see how it's going. It's a good story. And like what he mentioned in the article is that they lose their instinct to just trust your leg, trust your position, trust your motion. And I just go back and look at the NAL kickers, TC Stevens and Roscoe. Roscoe and Albany. They are trusting their legs and they're hitting deuces. And it's just we've seen last year with Peterson and Boris from Orlando. I forgot his name.
Orlando. It was Orlando. Well, now it's Justino that's there.
It's Justino, yeah, but
last year
the UCF kicker, I think it's Boris. Like, well, he came in, he got signed, and day one he's kicking deuces. So it's all about rhythm, trusting, and that article that what Mike Hollis was mentioning, or that you mentioned that was on, I think Action News Channel 12 for people here in Jacksonville. They did an article, and I think the Sharks posted on their Twitter account too and socials. I think it's a great aspect that the kicking game, yes, the outdoor game is a lot different from the indoor game, but it's all the same mentality. And I think a lot of people who go into kicking and the arena game forget that. Yes, you're in an enclosed facility. Yes, the goalposts are only 8 feet wide. But in the National Football League, you see a lot of NFL kickers, the good NFL kickers like Graham Gano's in the NFL. When they're kicking those 60-yard field goals in the NFL, what's most of those kickers the kick in that 8-yard stretch where the freaking hash lines are? They're that good. So people say, it's hard to kick in the arena. Yeah, it's hard to kick in the arena. But if they brought that mentality, the outdoor game, the indoor, it'd be easy transition. But what am I? I'm a defensive lineman. I didn't kick. If I would have gone there to kick, I would have looked like Zach Brown there a couple weeks ago for the Carolina Cobras. It'll be like a little roller going on down maybe the 10-yard line, and the opposing offense has the ball at the 10. And I'll be the one that's the idiot. But yeah, I play D-line, so I don't know about it. But yeah, Mike Hollis is with the Sharks. I think it's a good story. It's the arena game. Yes, people, if you got fans, it's a money grab. It's to get people to get tickets to the game. So we're not supposed to tell people to get tickets. So this is a great thing to get people into the arena. And I wish some other arena teams in the league do it. Some people that are in the team or that are associated with, like Albany, get some guy from Auburn or get some guy from Georgia to do this. Orlando, UCF, University of Florida, Florida State, whoever, to trying to bring fans to the game. You bring fans to the game to just watch this guy. They get addicted to the game. They come back for more games. We're just here to share the love, man. I don't care if they bring Mark Brunell in for the Jacksonville Sharks to play.
Oh, like, dang it. Could you imagine?
Trust me. I'll be there with my old Mark Brunell jersey. Just like, woo! It's 1999 again. Oh, God. I just remembered that bad. What a bad year to mention. Sorry, Jaguar fans. God.
Oh,
Titans. No. Devin Wilson's going to text me. 1999. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a good game. I think it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be a good story. I guarantee you it's going to hit ESPN or Fox Sports, whoever does it, about the oldest kicker playing professional sports. So it's going to be pretty exciting. The guy's 50 years old. He just turned 50, I think, this week. So he's already at the top of the mountain, and it's only downhill from there. Right. Or you can hear some people, 50 is the new 30. So great. So the new 35 is the new 20. Okay, so I'm 20 years old now again. Back to my football age.
Yeah, fun story. I think I'm excited like you are to watch out for that. That's like I said, that's kind of, and I was checking up Dylan Barnos. I can't believe I forgot him last year. And Dylan, if you watch the show,
I apologize.
We apologize. Yeah, that is on us, and especially Preds fans who watch that's on us.
Jim, myself, I'm considering myself as a third person. Jim always messes up on a name like Samsonov.
Samsonov. The classic.
Yeah, Samsonov, the Carolina quarterback. Sam Castronova. Yeah. That's nowhere near Samson.
No, right. Right, man. Barnes isn't there now, but Justino. It's funny. Justino actually drained in a deuce this past week.
Yeah.
So nice to. I mean, hey, they got to put another kicker in this league. It's hitting them nice. So happy to see that. You know, Barber being able to come in last week and take strides at getting better at that, getting better at the arena game that way too. I was happy to see.
I think the only team that hasn't hit a deuce is Columbus right now. Everyone else has, at least once. Jacksonville got 2 last week. TC got 1 last week. Orozco got 1 last week. And what was the guy's name? Stefan or Stefan? Who's the kicker? You got me confused with who the kicker was in Orlando now, man.
No, just Justino.
Justino. See, I was about to say the homeboy from last year again. See,
no, it wasn't Dylan. He hasn't reported that I can tell. No, it's
messing up names and messing up the years the guys are playing for.
No, I understand. No, Daniel, it's Daniel Justino. That's his name. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to him. But yeah, a lot of good kicking. That's what we're saying. It's a lot of the transition is getting back to the normal. You know, weapons are back in action. That's what we're trying to tell you. You know, to keep that in mind. That
deuce in the start the second half in Jacksonville, Carolina was the deuce that determined the outcome.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You ain't wrong. Well, here's the thing. Last week was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
In terms of how things got shaken up. We talked about it or hinted at it in our rewind. Power rankings might be shuffling a little bit. Before we jumped on this show, you're telling me that you're going to make me surprised because some of your stuff's going to get weird. Mine might too. I don't know. We'll see how we react here.
Weird. It's like, is this the Twilight Zone all of a sudden? Yeah, it's going to get weird. A lot of questions have arose this past week. There's some teams that we've had in the power rankings positions that I think now don't deserve to be in their location or deserve to be in another spot. So yeah, it's time for me to tick off a lot of fan bases, and it's also time for me to gain some fandom back from some of the fans that we've ticked off before. So it's the love and hate segment.
Okay.
Power rankings. Yeah.
Here we go, man. So 6.
Mm-hmm. Number 6 for me hasn't changed. Okay. It's the 0-4 San Antonio Gunslingers. The only reason why is because they're 0-4. That you could tell over the last couple of weeks they're getting better. They're improving. They're in these games more competitively. They're 1 or 2 plays away of turning games around, like in Orlando in the second half. They had an open touchdown, Robert Kent. Then they got a turnover, 14-point swing, took the lead. I'm like, this is the moment San Antonio will get that advantage, get the W. Unfortunately, didn't go that way. Orlando responded to win. I have San Antonio at 6, but I can't say it because people said about Jacksonville they're the best 0-3 team in the league. They're the best 0-4 team in the league, even though they're the only 0-4 team in the league. But I hate putting them at 6, but right now the win column's at 0, and that's what's holding them back in my ranking.
And same, it's growing pains. It's more and more growing pains. I thought the way that it was going into the third quarter, I thought San Antonio might be taking one in the jungle. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, the same stuff. There's few things, receivers and quarterbacks still aren't fully in sync with what needs to be going down. Mm-hmm. Felt there was a few miscues that, stuttered drives, turnover on downs late in that game, in that contest. Because I mean, like I said, we mentioned on the rewind, they had that 14-point swing and took the lead in the third quarter off a fumble for a kick return. Mm-hmm. And it was like, there you go. You stay consistent and you keep matching them 1 for 1. You might just end this game with a 1-possession victory. But yeah, there's still one too many things that just aren't working out, and they're not getting down fundamentally as well. I think some of the play calling too, and I've been noticing this more and more. I know and this is for context, I know that the Gunslingers came up from the AAL, which is more traditional indoor style. So I still see, Fred Shaw, it seems like he still uses a lot of the indoor concepts with this. That doesn't really work. I don't know. Like, for some reason, I see them throwing more swing passes than any other NAL team. And I'm like, swing passes are great if you get the right blockers. And if they're rated, but they don't. But that's the thing. Like
that
timing's not there right now.
Yeah.
You know,
I was
like,
going to
for
say,
example,
they also play a lot of shotgun too that other NAL teams don't do.
Right. It's not a very traditional arena offense.
Yeah.
Which is
but
fine.
They're scoring points.
Mm-hmm.
They're making plays. It's just that third quarter last week, they took the advantage and then capitalized on it. They set back, and Orlando just took over. It's just marginal stuff. They're there. They're honestly overlooking the last couple of weeks. They should have won Columbus game. They're there, in my opinion. But yes, what you're mentioning, I completely agree too. Sorry that Jeff Jeff. I just had to throw in the shotgun thing.
A lot of growing. I guess the long story short, growing pains, and that's just maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but hey, Coach Shaw, this is his year first in the NAL as the coach for the Gunslingers. So, obviously coached beforehand, but now this is his first year as an NAL head coach. So, we'll see. It's still a long season. They're going to figure things out. John Wayne, I imagine, is going to be one of those teams that's going to be making changes throughout the year, like we've seen in years past. So who knows? Number 5, though, this is, I think, where we're going to get interesting. I'll be honest, just for the sake of what I saw this week, I am moving Orlando back down to 5. No offense to them. They did win, but remember, I had Jacksonville down to 5 last week. It's kind of hard for me to justify they're still there. Orlando did get a win, but again, their only 2 victories are against San Antonio, which have their own struggles and are growing with this league and getting used to the speed of this league. I'm only moving them down out of technicality. Rakeem Cato, dude is on a tear. I'm telling you right now, this week when they play the Lions, I am going to be seeing if they take that step and they show that, they're a leg above the Lions at that point. I'm just going to be frank. He has been on a tear. I am high on him. I am buying stock in him if he is on Wall Street. I'm telling you right now.
I wish. Yeah, but yeah.
What I'm saying is I'm bullish on Rakeem Cato and that offense. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Hey,
but they're at 5.
Not bad. But are they as bad as my number 5? My number 5 is the Columbus Lions.
I was wondering if you would be doing that.
I really
5 was wondering.
But here's the reason why. Over the last 10 quarters, the Columbus Lions have not looked like the Columbus Lions of halftime of San Antonio game in week 2. Since now, with the 2 bye weeks, they've just been very inconsistent. Quarterback play is the issue. Penalties, bad play calling, getting blown out by a Jacksonville team that was desperate for a win.
Right.
Then going toe-to-toe with San Antonio, but for Albany.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, even though the score was low, it almost felt like the game was never going to tilt their way. San Antonio and Albany was always getting the advantage.
Right.
But it's now been 3 games I've seen from Columbus that I have not been impressed. Yes, they won in San Antonio, but they got crushed by Jacksonville and had a very ugly loss against Albany. Like, that's just telling me that you're regressing in my book. Now you're going to play a very, like what you mentioned with Cato, a very explosive, very healthy, and the team find themselves in the Orlando Predators. Key factor right there. I have Columbus there. Am I losing trust in Jason Gibson? No. They're just going through a very bad patch that Jacksonville went through last season.
Yeah.
Now Columbus is going through that situation. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this all started in the offseason when not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 guys that were on their roster didn't even show up for training camp. They went somewhere else. And one of those is Mason Espinosa and Corey Crawford. It's like the list Peterson. The list keeps going on and on and on. So it's just been a very hard season so far for Columbus, but lucky for them, their schedule is balanced the rest of the way. They still have 4 home games and have 4 road games, so they can win. They got a couple of key road games coming up, and then, of course, a couple of crucial matches with the Orlando Predators also, and, of course, San Antonio. So they got games that they can win. But right now, number 5, love you, Josh. I love you, Columbus. But I got to be honest right now, just bad football all around. 2-2, and the last 10 quarters, you just haven't – it's just not been the same. Honestly, you can say the whole season. but I'm going to say the last 10 quarters.
Well, and you got to add on. I mean, they're dealing with injuries too. Like those are starting to stack up for them, and they've only played 4 games, and they're already having to figure out like, who's going to be
4 games
and
2 bye weeks already, so they're on the stretch for the rest of the way.
Right. I mean, we had to talk about Jameson Forston or Jamar Forston possibly playing quarterback in the second half.
He did.
I mean, well, he played the end of the second quarter, and then Darren Daniel came in off of the bench, dressed up all of a sudden, and came out. But I mean, you got to figure that out. My understanding or our understanding is there's injuries on the line that's going to be a problem in a game like this where it's about quick passing and getting that ball out of there.
Players, suspensions,
right, and
injuries.
also the fact it's Iron Man. Suspensions
Man,
too. Like we partially mentioned referencing Kerry Starks. He's suspended for next week and maybe beyond from what the league language is. We'll see. So
we can't get confirmation yet, but yeah,
right.
It's just a lot of things are building up. Like keep building that stuff up. Eventually, it's just going to catch up to you, and it's catching up to them right now. But it's an arena game where 1 week you can be the worst team in the league, and 2 weeks later you're contending for a playoff spot. So that's the benefit of 6 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Top 4 get in. Yeah, you're the 5th place team that's not out. Technically, if the playoffs started today, Jacksonville's out. They're half a game behind. So power rankings, like my head coach said in high school, I've mentioned this before, power rankings don't mean it. They don't mean it.
Results matter first. Yeah. We just have an opinion on how we feel,
And I kind of edited myself. So you got the it part. So it. Power rankings don't mean anything. You got to win on the road. But yeah, right now Columbus is number 5. But come back with this power ranking in 5 weeks, they could be number 3, could be number 2. It can flip just like that. It's just a lot of injuries are just piling up on Columbus right now. That's just holding them down in my rankings. I could be like the BC, the College Football Playoff Committee right now. Oh, you're 2-2, and you play in the ACC. You unranked.
See, but do you see that's how I am with like Orlando. I'm like the college football. It's like, what about your level of? I mean, no offense to San Antonio. Again, no offense to San Antonio, and I know I'm gonna Smoking Guns guys are gonna be like,
Phil's
gonna
come after you.
Oh, no, Phil's gonna be after me after I say this. It's just that your only 2 wins are against the newest team that already was going to have to figure out how to keep up with top tier talent in this league. So that's why that's at. Like everything's starting to stack up right now. And I see that argument too, which I assume I'm going to take a guess at your 4, but I'm going to let you say it. I'm guessing you put Orlando above them at 4.
Are you sure?
I'm going to stick with that.
My number 4 is the red and black, with the primary color being black. That is the Orlando Predators.
Yes, there you go. That's what I thought.
I got them at number 4 because, yes, over the last 3 weeks, they've been very competitive against Albany, very competitive against Carolina, and they got the win over San Antonio. Kind of a very confident win over San Antonio. Only reason why I got them at number 4, they're 2-3, and they just look better on paper. They played very well against better competition, but their only wins are against San Antonio. They won the season series at San Antonio, so if there's a tie, they break it. I look at their quarterback situation. Cato looks good. The receivers are starting gelling. They got some players returning, like Devin Maxwell with Kenny Alfred. Yes, Brandon Fuentes is injured for a couple of weeks, but they still have Josh Jenkins. They still have a defensive core that's solid. They're finding themselves, like we mentioned in Wednesday review, is the Orlando Predators right now going to copy what they did last year, where they came out of the gate sluggish, found some consistency, then the wins came after. I got them at number 4. If this was betting odds, I think they're right now the 4th best team to make the playoffs. Will come 7 weeks from now. Their schedule really benefits them, but they got 3 crucial matchups against the Jacksonville Sharks starting next week in the 4-week. 3 out of 4 weeks they play the Sharks. 2 of them means in Jacksonville. Big crucial matches that will be the determining factor for their postseason hopes this year, or it could make or break them possibly trying to catch either Albany or Carolina for a 2 seed. So I like the direction they're going. Higgins found something. They got players returning. They're getting healthier. And Cato has adapted to the arena game very nicely over the last couple of weeks. And now they're home against Columbus, and this could be a determining factor of my ranking. Are they better than Columbus? Right now they are in the power rankings. So Orlando fans, go prove it. I mean, Orlando fans, sorry.
Oh yeah, and that's my thing. Is it's very much a first matchup of the year for them against the Lions. This is where you can prove it. It's your final game of your home stand. The jungle bring in the other jungle from Georgia. Should be a fun game, and like I said, I think it's one that I think will kind of settle in as to where I think the playoff field might be, honestly. But that's why I'm holding back, because number 4 is Columbus for me. 2-2, but as we touched on, man, there's stuff starting to stack up in Columbus where it's like that 2-2 record. I mean, fair, they've had some buys, but it's starting to feel a little shaky for a 2-2 record right now. And they got some things to fix up. Coach Gibson knows this very well. I mean, we talked a week ago, and I imagine he's feeling the similar deal after them playing in Albany, where it's like, man, now we got more stuff to deal with injuries and suspensions and things like that to tinker with, and having a quick fix on the fly. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding. I put them at 4 right now. Orlando would have to prove it to me, or one of these two is going to have to prove it. Which one will, I think supplant who's going to stay at maybe that 4th position in the playoffs come the end of the year. But that's why I think this week's matchup between those two is so crucial, is like, hey, who's really trending up right now?
Correct.
I mean, that's my whole beef on it. So I got them at 4 just for that. A lot of issues that they're dealing with. And also because my number 3 team, I mean, come on, that upset. Like I said, that was seismic, and they did everything right in that. It's fins up, man. Jacksonville's 3. And I know and some people are like, well, dude, they're 2-4. It's like, look who they lost to. Look how close they lost to these people. They just picked up Arvell Nelson, which we were wondering about the rust. There's no rust. And some people are going, is there a QB controversy? No, it's Arvell Nelson's job to lose at this point. How do you argue? No offense to Malik Henry, but how do you argue that he is going to be starting over Arvell after what you just saw him play last week? And the pedigree that Arvell Nelson has from his AFL days alone, he played like he was in the AFL. You don't change that out. I'm sorry. Coach Burley, if you did that, I'd be like, I'm sorry. Malik Henry, young guy into the NAL scene at least. Maybe goes somewhere else next year and thrives, but come on, you're trying to win now. Malik's a great backup for them to have in their pocket, but Arvell's your guy. You got to run with Arvell. You can't move away from it after last week. And one thing I got to give kudos to, not only Arvell, but I mean, Barber alone, he came into clutch. When you're going against TC Stevens in the kicking game like that, it's kind of hard to keep up with Deuces. The fact that he was able to keep up on his end of the deal, was able to deliver on special teams well, add in the fact the Sharks got the crucial stop at the beginning of the 3rd quarter on that first Cobras drive, which really, if they don't get that stop, you could argue the Cobras win by a possession, because the possession game flips on them. That stop won them that game. And that is a lot of credit to coming so close, needing that piece that Arvell Nelson is. They're a 3 because of it. Like, it just adds up to me. They go to 3 just because of that. And Jim, I know you've talked to me off screen. They have such a reasonable schedule up ahead with that roster, and Jared Dangerfield coming in supposedly this week to make his first plays impactful in the Shark Tank, who used to play alongside Arvell Nelson with the Valor. There's a lot of positivity going on right now for a 2-4 team.
With Naquan Murray, with Rob Jones, with Devin Wilson and Dangerfield and Kelly, and now Arvell Nelson. Yeah, Jacksonville's 2-4. They found their missing piece. They found the guy, I think, that performance he did against Carolina, that he almost was near perfect. He single-handedly beat Carolina and Jonathan Bain. Jonathan Bain was slinging it too. It was a quarterback battle between both of them. My number 3 is the Jacksonville Sharks. I'm just not going to answer everything that you just did. Jacksonville schedule 5. They got, I think 4. No, they got 5 in the next 7 games at home, I think it is. If I'm correct, we were home again. Yeah, 5 in the next 7 are home.
This big old home stint coming up for the Shark Tank.
So you get Orlando at home twice, you get Carolina at home twice, and you got San Antonio at home. And your only road games are at San Antonio and Columbus. 5 of the 7 are at home. That schedule, if Jacksonville finds a way to win 4 of those home games, they're going to win one of the 2 road games in Columbus or in San Antonio. So they could literally go 6-1 or 5-2 in the second half of the season and flip that record. And we're talking on August 2nd or August 3rd, the first round of the playoffs, a pivotal matchup that could be Sharks and Albany round 3, but this time with Arvell Nelson. Is this
right?
Is this the beginning of that 3 seed that you do not want to face in the playoffs?
Well, that's
because in every postseason possessions, or every postseason, there's always that one team you do not want to face, even though they're not a home team. They're that road team you don't want to play. Is this the week, or is this the stretch that we're about to see the Sharks play? That stretch that makes them that 3 seed, or possibly if something happens above them, are they that team that sneaks in against that 2 seed and at least has home field for 1 game in the playoffs?
Right. I mean, that's the thing. They don't play Albany the rest of the season. So you avoid that. You avoid any dealings with that or having to get through a rough patch of maybe playing them again. Carolina is your main one.
And they're both home.
At least if I look at the remaining schedule, Carolina, and then you have you have Columbus, but again, Columbus, I mean, there's stuff you got to figure out before you get to that next matchup with them.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando, we'll see how that pans out this week and if how their status is, but they are trending upward. Those will be tougher. Those are technically rivalry games, as we know. So,
correction, we have 8 more games. I forgot. We are also at Orlando too. So we're at Orlando, at Columbus, and at San Antonio. So
and
correction,
of course,
8
this
games.
week you get San Antonio. So
correct.
Which I mean, anything can
Pre-sale
happen.
Tickets looks good so far. Again,
it does look very good.
Not disappointed again with the Sharks with pre-sale tickets for this game. So
it does look very good. Okay, I got same deal as we've been doing lately. Is there really any change in the top 2? I mean, credit. Carolina did lose, so that is. Do you have anything changing? I personally do not. I still have it 1-2 the same.
Okay, this is for. I think you say you got 1-2. This
I still have Carolina and Albany. 1 and 2 respectfully.
Mine doesn't change. Here's why. Carolina's losses to Jacksonville. Albany's losses to Carolina. That's the only reason why it doesn't change. Yeah. You do not jump a team if records are very similar like they are. Carolina's 5-1, Albany's 4-1. But you can't jump a team that barely lost to a very good Sharks team now, while Albany's loss was to the team that's above them in Carolina. Now that can switch next week because they play this week. But right now, yes, Carolina did get the loss, and Albany did get the win. We could treat it like the BCS system or the college football playoff rankings. Carolina lost to a better team than who Albany beat. So basically, Alabama just beat Kentucky. Yeah, they're not jumping Texas A&M, who just beat Georgia, or vice versa. Just saying, that's how my rankings are going to do. The only reason why I do is Southeast because most of our audience are in the Southeast, and we know the SEC. I'm a Florida State fan. Don't want to talk about it. The ACC is nowhere near the SEC. But anyways, that's the reason why. Albany's winning. They're winning games. They're staying consistent. Last week was Separation Saturday in our books. You see the separation between the 2 teams. This week, it's who wants to be the number 1 team. Right. Albany wins, they tie the series. Carolina wins, they win the season series against Albany and win that crucial tiebreaker at the end of the year. But right now, my power rankings do not change. Same sentiment about Carolina. Tough game against Jacksonville. Jacksonville found their weapon, got hot, and beat them. It's very hard to go undefeated in the arena game. As the Sharks in 2019 and as the Sharks in 2017. It's very hard to go undefeated in the arena game, period. I think only one team went undefeated all time in arena football, and I think that was like in the 1980s. I don't think they even won anything. I think they lost in the playoffs. So it's very hard to go undefeated. But yeah, those are my 2 teams. Both teams are both loaded, honestly. And I expect an exciting matchup this week up in Albany for game number 2. And I think it's being crucial. But right now, my power rankings, as followed to repeat, is Carolina, Albany, Jacksonville, Orlando, Columbus, and San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, no movement, and your logic to me sound that's the same reason why Albany has to prove they can beat Carolina here, and also I'll add on a chip to this, and this impacts this week's game. Ryan Orozco going down definitely has me going, ugh. I mean, credit, they could have someone lined up that can kick because I mean, Coach Manas in his weekly show, he talked about that he's already got options, and that maybe Orozco might even play. Nonetheless, him possibly being out, he's been arguably the best kicker in the league so far this season.
So far, yeah, I agree.
I mean, and so that impact for special teams, that's another thing I just can't put him ahead that way. That unit's not, I wouldn't say handicapped right now, but it's definitely not at its peak level if he's down. So
yeah, the key component this time around is Sam Castronova.
Correct.
Was Mike Faithful week 1. Now it's Sam Castronova. And Carolina is still the same team. Bain's still right now. There's an MVP vote, even though Arvell impressed me. Bain's still right now the MVP of the league, if there is one right now. And Darius Prince also has a hell of an argument in that conversation too. So these two teams by roster, like we mentioned in the offseason, deja vu. Still the 2 best rosters in the league. But there's teams below them that have made moves that are catching up. And this week we could see them either gain ground on them or the toe teams that we talked about, Carolina and Albany, separate themselves even further from them.
That mid-pack. It's the mid-pack madness.
No, you call them mid-pack Maddox. I call it the buck.
Either one works. It's more if you want to, how you finesse it in terms of calling it that, Do you call it the grime below the top tier, or do you want to just watch the chaos unfold? Because to me, arena football means chaos. So I want to take the chaos element of it. Is how I see it. So I'm going to go with that. And this week just adds more to the chaos. So let's get into this. Let's preview these games, shall we? Let's dive in. We're gonna kick things off. 2 Friday games. 2 of the 3 Friday games. Hey, like we said, the NAL starting to diversify that schedule a little bit this year. That's not bad. Layer it. I like the layers. I can watch a game one day and I can focus on the next day. Thanks, NAL.
Well, it kind of happens when you got 2 big concerts in both Orlando and Jacksonville happening on Saturday. So you have to find a way to get the games going.
Thanks, NAL.
Yeah. Thank you, Brooks and Dunn and Shania Twain. Okay, let's go. Thanks, NAL.
Nonetheless, even if it's scheduling issues, I like this.
It's perfect for us.
I know. That's what I'm saying. NAL or National Arena League folks that we talk to, please keep this going for next year, even if it isn't even if it's purposeful or accidental.
And they got the right game on Saturday. Just saying.
People watching at home that can't go to the games also like this. So keep that in mind as long as it's a weekend game, or maybe Monday. I don't know. I don't know about Monday games. It's
Monday Night Football, NAL, hosted by Jim Zach.
Monday Night Football.
I could be the John Madden. The object of the game is to score more points than your opponent.
So am I Pat Summerall?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just can't do that, Zach. You see how it's like Donnie up in Orlando. Ain't that right, Donnie? Yeah.
Right, you are, Jimmy boy.
We mentioned them on Wednesday. This is actually, I wrote a comment. That's like over under how many times Ain't You Right, Donnie will go over and under. I put it at 75.5. And I think either the Orlando guy or whoever's doing their stream commented on there is like, oh, I'm taking the over big time. I don't know who does their social media, but on the chat, it's I'm taking the over big time. So let's Ain't You Right, Donnie is actually trending in the National Arena League. So I
love it. It's like such a quirk that I just love for Predators games. They do a great job, by the way, out there. Not that's us joking aside, they do a great job out there, honestly. We'll get to them in a second. Right now, though, we'll get to the Sharks, which, I mean, hey, I like their broadcast quality, their crew. They do a great job, too, production-wise. They're going home. They're going to be getting the San Antonio Gunslingers, who are going to be wrapping up their long road trip out east to go to Jacksonville. It's, after last week, kind of an imposing threat, as we talked about, it seems. Sharks looming, lurking.
Lurking.
Yeah. I mean, that's what can I say? No, San Antonio, obviously coming off a tough loss just down the road in Orlando. It's again, learning season. It's a lot of trial and error. John Wayne just taking over there. Like I said, things can change, but right now they're trying to get there, and then we'll get a home game next week. Right now, finish the road trip.
Correct.
Jim, I mean, how do you look at this game playing out? Do you see any improvements for San Antonio? Do you see them playing better than last week?
I see them playing better because they've been getting better each and every week.
Fair enough.
You're seeing more progression of the offense. The offense is being more fluid. They made a couple plays against Orlando that look at like you can tell they're starting to learn the NAL game, not the other league's version of it. They're starting to be I can't say they're being humbled, but they're calming down, they're executing, they're making better plays. Now can they extend that just beyond 2 quarters of play and make it a 4-quarter game? Because they're going to go into an environment that they have never played in. This is the first time San Antonio fans, our fellow people up in the Smoking Guns, I know how you guys are getting fan support, but your team is about to travel into an arena audience that they have never played. They played in Orlando, not big crowds. They're playing in Jacksonville, where there's estimated predictions about 7K.
This is definitely the most hostile crowd they will play in the
correct.
organization's history, by the way. Like, this is only a 2-year-old organization.
No.
They have never played in a crowd this size. I almost, even if I have to go back, I guarantee you they've never played in a 7,000 seat crowd with people right there.
And like for them, it's going to be, especially for the ownership group that will travel with San Antonio, they get to see how Jacksonville presents the game. So it's a learning curve for them too. But on the field, Jacksonville is on a momentum right now. They know that they're home for a chunk of the second half of the season against teams that are very winnable for them. And San Antonio coming here for Shark fans and for the Shark organization can't lose to this team. If you want to be a chance to host a home playoff game, you have to take care of business tonight, on Friday night. Oh, yeah, tonight. Of course, tonight. Because the show debuts on Friday. It's the pregame show, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, for Jacksonville, RVL Nelson, the offense, Mike Hall's coming in. I think there's just a lot of buzz coming in the Jacksonville Sharks game situation here. I think San Antonio does improve. They're getting better each and every week. I think, like what you mentioned before, this is a learning curve season. They do have good key aspects. They had a lot of transactions over the last couple of weeks. A couple of players left the team. They got some new guys in. So that's going to take time to get the team back into a mold. But 3 straight weeks on the road, you're on your 3rd road trip back to Florida in Jacksonville to a hostile environment. I think it's a little too much. I think they're going to play against a quarterback like RVL Nelson. They played Jonathan Bain, again, RVL Nelson, and the offense, I think, has found themselves in Jacksonville. And I think we might see a similar game to when we played the Sharks played the Columbus Lions here a couple weeks ago. So I'm picking, not a shock, I'm picking Jacksonville this one. I think we're going to see the same type of game we did last week between Orlando and San Antonio. San Antonio stays in it for the first half, but they just run out of gas in the second half and Jacksonville pulls away.
I just want to see mitigated mistakes and a little more fluent motion with the offensive nature that San Antonio brings.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main thing. Every week I want to see improvements in that regard. And I think that there's ways. I mean, I think that Jacksonville, you can attack it. I think as much as, Jonathan Bain and company up there in Carolina, they're a dominant offense, but I mean, still, like, Jacksonville there are opportunities to score on the Sharks, not going to lie.
Leaky defense.
I mean, Kenny Veal also being traded. You were doing a trade-off there when you went for Jared Dangerfield. You're stacking up with more offensive weapons for Arvell or possibly Malik Henry in exchange for you're letting your defensive back go, and you're going to have to substitute or figure out how you're going to mitigate that impact.
Correct.
So, last week was kind of that test. This week with San Antonio, I mean, Robert Kent, Khalid Rashad, keep connecting on that end, if you will.
Correct.
I know that they brought, like you're talking receiver signings. I'm kind of curious to see how much action you'll see, like Akil Greer or Ramel Workman. You know, they brought him in recently. I'm wondering if they'll get some action and kind of more usage in here this week. Because Marcel Brooks, he was let go. So, you know, that was a contributor that was consistently with the team that is not there anymore. Joey Fisher, you know, let's see if he can step up a bit more this week too. I mean, he's been a consistent vocal voice for this team, so we'll see if that's the case. I still have the Sharks, but again, it's a learning curve year. I know I sound like I'm downing them hard, and I know Gunslingers fans, they've really been like, well, man, I mean, we have people. I'm like, you do. It's just, you know, right now, this is a tough time. You're coming into a 6-team league like this. There's a lot of good talent across the board. It's very hard to compete when you got some of the best guys at 4 or 5 of the different rosters ahead of you already, and you're trying to play catch up right now. You know, I mean, heck, I know we talked last year about this, but Carolina, that's how they got in. They played, they tinkered rapidly at the end of the year. You know, that's kind of what San Antonio is going to keep doing. You know, they've been doing it now. They're going to keep doing it here. Right now, hopefully key pieces of this offense keep chugging along, and defensively, you just got to keep everything in front of you. It's the best I can give you, but I got the Sharks walking away. It's going to be a very rowdy crowd, and it's a tough environment for a new team to come and play into. I'm sorry. That's all I can say. That's all I can say for you this week. Moving on, though, we go just down the coast, or well, I guess just down the coast, really.
Central of the state.
We go to Disney World, I guess. That's Disney World, United or Universal, whatever you prefer. It's your call. I'm not judging you. The Columbus Lions are going to travel to Orlando. They'll play the Predators, finishing up their home stint. As we've talked, played some close matchups against the top tier opponents in Albany and Carolina. Won last week against the Gunslingers, who are on their own road trip. Columbus, a lot of stuff going on. We just mentioned. It is definitely going to be a fascinating contest to see who might be taking that upward trend, who might be possible. I mean, this is one that I think, to me, decides who I think might be that 4th seed. I think. Again, like I said, I'm getting more bullish on Orlando as we go along. You know, similar deal to last year where, like we talked, Ben Bennett's squad came on late. You know, became a playoff squad late after early losses. This year, Jeff Higgins, early lows, but, you know, credit, they've got 2 wins under their belt now. This could be the game that they get that 3rd, and the upward trajectory keeps moving up. And honestly, just because Orlando, they're healthy. I've also, besides just Rakeem Cato, something that the Predators seem to be adjusting to, Larry Beavers and Lonnie Outlaw. You know, they're very much, you know, they're excellent receiving talents, but I've seen them as guys, I think, that are adapting to getting those defensive positions down more. Every week, it seems like a little bit by bit, they've been a little more consistently flowing with what Josh Jenkins does back there. And it's been helping. I mean, Larry Beavers posts up highlights every week, and I'm like, I watch these games, and after the fact I see him, like, yeah, he's flying around a lot more, and he's getting more of an impact every week. Lonnie Outlaw, you know, he's more playing the jack linebacker out there, and he's getting his position down better. You know, he's playing essentially where Devin Wilson is, and, you know, he's adjusting to that. That was a challenge for him this year. He's getting better every week and is filling in that role. So that's what I want to see improve. I think they're going to keep proving that direction. Columbus, there's just a lot going on. You know, I mean, Jason Gibson I think still can bring a solid competing squad, but between injuries, suspensions, and a lot of questions now at quarterback between who's actually going to suit up for that. You know, my money, by the way, personally, and this is just without insider info or anything, I think it's Darren Daniel, to be frank. If he suited up last week with the brace on, I think he does it now. And I don't know what Southwest condition is, but he's been banged up in the last 2 contests. I just think they rest him or they switch back to Darren. That's my honest opinion on it. It's not even factual. I'm going on a whim with that. But if either case, though, I actually take Orlando taking this in the jungle. I got Orlando in this one. They'll get to 500. Columbus keeps on going downward trend, in my opinion, just for stuff in or out of their control. And they're going to have to tinker. They'll take a loss, though, this week, I think, in the jungle on Friday night, or tonight, that is.
Not so fast, my friend. You're not the only one that's picking the Orlando Predators.
Oh, you do swerves. You are so good at these.
Sorry.
You are so good at the swerves, I swear.
I Yeah, I got the Predators this week. There's a lot of questions in Columbus right now. Injuries, uh, quarterback questions. From what we've been hearing from our sources, it's just a lot of cluster right now going on. And I can't pick a team that is a walking wounded right now. Orlando's they're healthy, not very healthy. They're healthy. Kato's getting better. Beavers, Outlaw are improving. Alfred is getting more reps at fullback, getting more yardage. Their team is playing a lot higher level than Columbus right now. And like you said earlier, this is the pivotal point. Who is the 3 seed? Who's the 4 seed? Who's the one that's going to miss out? This is one of those crucial matchups that will determine that. So, yes, I got Orlando in this game, and it's going to be ugly for Columbus. Can they match score for score against Orlando? Orlando has the offense to do so. I think it'd be a lot closer than the score in Jacksonville with Jacksonville, San Antonio. But I got Orlando here with the win. And yes, I know my swerves are good. That's why they're called swerves, my friend.
See, but you disguise them as, actual
upsets
statements or like actual bold claims that you are putting in here. That's all I'm saying. All right. So that means right now you and I are basically same across the entire board right now.
Yeah, because we kind of did good last week.
Yeah, I mean, we're across the board picking the same thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, Friday you get 2 matchups to watch. If you're tonight, I know you understand we're recording right now. Tonight you get 2 matchups in the NAL, and then Saturday is the marquee one that's on the board. The one we've been hyping up, the one we've been curious to see for a few weeks now that we've been marking on our calendars. The top 2 teams in the league. Carolina is going back to MVP Arena to play the Albany Empire, a different looking Albany Empire than their first time. Besides just Sam Castronova starting, you got different faces signed on now, different personalities that should be healthy. Again, Kenneth Magruder was playing a week before, and now he wasn't in Columbus. So now is he back? We'll find that out too. That's what we'll have to see. But a lot going on. Albany is looking to possibly even things up, as you might have. Like I said, I've been referencing Coach Manas's show. He's stated that this is the most important game of the season right now for them. They're coming into this thinking it's do or die for their position in the playoff race right now and their seeding. Carolina, they're licking their wounds off a tough loss, one that they did all in their power offensively to keep up and to possibly come out on top at the end. Just a really damn good football game, a really damn good arena football game they played last week. Now they get to go play against arguably just as of not their toughest opponent that they've already had to face this season with new faces. Jim, what are the keys to this one with Albany coming in with kind of just an altered, different look roster for Coach Rez to look at?
The key to this game is what Jacksonville capitalized against Carolina last week. The deuces.
Yeah.
TC Stevens, if he's hitting deuces, Carolina has a competitive edge. Unless Manas has something up his sleeve with the kicking situation. We don't know if Roscoe's going to start or if they have someone coming in. But also, this is basically, especially for Castronova, you can say this is a game that he kind of circled on his calendar because he did play for the Carolina Cobras last year, and this is his chance to play against his former team. So
revenge,
yeah, the cliche.
I know I'm over intensifying it probably, but I don't know.
It's going to be unique. This is a different Albany team compared to last year because the last year's Albany, not last year, last week 1 seems like a year ago, right? Week one, it was Mike Faithful. Now it's Sam Castronova, but there's also players that we don't know are going to play. Is Kid Greer going to play? Is Antoine Grant going to play for the Albany Empire? Is Kenny Veal going to play for the Albany Empire? Albany has a lot of questions. They're home field advantage. This is their only time to secure home field. My keys to the game, like I mentioned, I think it's going to come down to Castronova versus Bain. Is it different from Faithful or Bain? And the deuces. Overall, you look at these 2 teams by blueprint, by paper, they're the same team. They're identical. We preached in the offseason Carolina had a better roster than Albany, how they were putting it together, and they proved it out of the gate right off the bat with 5 straight wins. Jacksonville got them. Remember, Albany, dang good team last year. They had 1 loss. That was Jacksonville. Albany rebounded. Does Carolina do that? Albany did. They rebounded on the road the next week. Does Carolina do that this week in Albany? And I've been thinking about this game a lot throughout the whole week. It's a pivotal game, one of the marquee games in arena football this week, especially for the National Arena League. It is our marquee games. There are other leagues going on. There's some marquee games there. We're not going to talk about it. You can do your own research. You'll find what the other games are. But in our league, Albany and Columbus, they play each other 3 times this season. This is game 2 of that 3-game series. The third game is in Carolina. This is a must-win for Albany to tie the series, to get not really tiebreaker, but tie it, to make that game 3 in Columbus in 3 weeks the pivotal tiebreaker.
Right?
Does it happen in Albany? I don't see Coach Rez losing back-to-back games with this roster. Albany, yes, did beat Columbus. Yes, did beat Jacksonville without Arvell Nelson, a team that was in disarray. Struggle against Orlando. Struggle against Jacksonville against the same Arvell Nelson. I just think Carolina had a bad game. And honestly, they outplayed Jacksonville in the second half. Just to deuce with the big difference, and the third down stop was a big difference. Albany fans, the Empire, sorry, you're going to hate me. But unfortunately, I'm going to make a bold statement, and Manos could get mad at me. He can send me. I still got to buy Albany gear. I may have to buy some more gear when this happens. But I think the Carolina Cobras are going to sweep the Albany Empire this season. I think it's going to be a 3-0 sweep. Questions of special teams in Albany, that's the one. I think TC Stevens is the advantage. Albany wins, oh well, they shut me up. But I think Albany loses this game, and I think it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be one of those good arena football games with great highlights, with great plays. Hopefully it's a clean game. Hopefully it's penalty free. Hopefully everything runs smoothly, and hopefully this game puts the marquee matchup of the NAL, what the arena game should be between the 2 best teams in the league. But yes, I think I just can't go against Coach Rez. I think Jacksonville got them. I think they were unprepared. They're very prepared for Albany. They know this trip of Albany. They played them already. They know the keys to how to beat Albany. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be one of those classic arena shootouts. Carolina just gets the advantage, wins the season series in game 2, and in a couple of weeks they win in Carolina for the third game. That's my bold statement. If I get it wrong, I'll have to buy more Albany gear, which I'm happily will do. When it's time, I actually can get Albany gear. So yeah, you can hate me, Albany fans. Jim is just a Shark fan. Yes, I am, and I still think you guys are going to lose to Carolina, and I think you're going to get swept by Carolina this year. Honestly, if you want me to be very bold, I think you're going to lose all 4 matchups against Carolina this year. But that's me just being bold. But
all right.
But I'm not that serious. I think playoffs are a completely different beast in the regular season. But right now, I think Carolina wins this game. I think they have they're not, how can I say it? They feel like they've been, underestimated all year, especially all offseason. They proved it week 1. I think they do it again this week to Albany to say, hey, that wasn't a fluke week 1. This is the reason why we're better than. They have the guys, they have the quarterback, they have the players. The thing is that Carolina's a lot healthier right now than Albany. Albany just came from a very dogfight in Columbus, couple ugly games. Carolina's taking care of everybody except for one game against Jacksonville. Pivotal matchup. Also, I could be completely wrong. Albany can win this one in a couple of weeks, and they can just, do the Eli Manning to me on the Eli cast. Like, there you go, Jim. But yeah, I guarantee I'll get reminded if we're live with the Empire in the championship game. Does anybody remember that comment? Yeah, I'll live up to it. But yeah, I got Carolina. I'm the guy who lives up to his words. All right, words, whatever. That's Jim just going on a rant. But yes, Carolina wins this one. I think they touched the high 60s, low 70s. 71-65, Carolina.
I don't even have much to add in because you basically circled everything that I was looking at. Honestly,
I stabbed it.
I guess you pierced all the points. But all I can really add on, I don't think you're going to see an Empire squad that played week 1. You're not going to see I don't see a sloppy of a whole game as you did week 1. I don't think this week
Agreed.
You'll see it. And I put it in the fact that, Coach Manas, I think, knows how important this game is for the overall season outcome and for what could be the implications later down the line. Because, no offense, Albany is going to be there's a high possibility they could be in the championship game again this year. They have the roster to do it, and they have time if they get healthier as they go down the line. Antoine Grant, if he can come back before the championship, that's the thing.
Probably against Carolina, so that's 4 matchups. So
right, and they've added on Aaron Washka as well. I mean, they're notorious for they sign on people and they stockpile and they build up. As for right now, compared to Week 1's roster, I think that they've been playing much more smoothly under Sam Castronova. I know that it was 1 week with Mike Faithful, but Sam has stepped in and he has done wonders for them. Last week, though, delays in flights and getting down there or not, one thing Columbus did, they smacked him in the mouth. They essentially came out and said, we're not going to make you comfortable. We aren't going to let Darius Prince burn us. They did one time at the end of that contest. And I'm wondering how much Coach Rez watched that tape and said, we might have to do the same thing. I also wonder, too, how much more do you see, for example, Aaron Washka, or do you see, likes of example, Wade getting more involved, too? Secondary options will be important. Darius Prince, he can break out any week, but correct. If you focus in only on him, you have to have those secondary pieces for Sam to get to and reliably throw to as possibilities. And honestly, I see this game is going to be just like last week for the Cobras, back and forth. Whoever gets the one stop or whoever has the better special teams, by the way, is going to win. And this is where I say I can't pick Albany this week. And credit, things could change. We don't have, at this time of recording, we don't have the official injury report, unfortunately.
Another key contributor that I completely overlooked, if Antoine Grant comes in, if he does play this week, that releases the pressure from Darius Prince, because what Columbus did, they put Fortson on pairs of Prince and they were hitting him right off the line, like busting the timing routes. If Grant is healthy and does play this week, it does release some of the pressure, but you're also going up against defensive players that Carolina has that equal to Albany's. It's a good game. I'm actually really I'm almost tempted to do a live stream coverage of this game because I think it's the marquee game of the year, and we might not get this type of game again this season until the championship.
You aren't wrong. I could see it. I could see us doing that just because it's that impactful to, I think, the later on year implications. Again, though, I'm not going to go as bold as you. I will say Albany probably loses this one. Really just the fact they can't, maybe they have someone up their sleeve that can kick, but that injury to Roscoe looked pretty severe on screen last week. I do not think he makes it back in. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see him coming in. And if he comes in, I don't see him efficiently getting the same level of hitting deuces and getting accurate kicks like he was before, just because, that looked pretty much like you twisted your knee up pretty bad is what I saw. Yeah. So that being said, TC Stevens is the ace in the hole for me for Carolina to win this. That's the one. If there's an X factor, it's him. I think that him being a reliable kicker there, being an all NAL guy on the opposite side that's fully healthy, and you have two offenses that basically can negate each other at any time, he'll win this game for the Carolina Cobras in Albany this week. It'll just be a grind out, like one of those slow burns is what'll happen. A deuce here, a deuce there. Kicks aren't landing for Albany, but touchdowns are getting there. And then you'll all of a sudden be down possession. You'll go, what just happened? You'll go, reliable kicker. And that's what's going to be how I predicted. Give me 65. And because I want to put a possession behind, 65-59. That's what I'll do.
So we're both predicting tight games.
Tight and high scoring.
Yeah.
Tight, high scoring football game right here. That's what I'm putting on. If I have my money, I'm putting it down like that.
Like, we're entering the mid-season right now, and if we've had fans from Albany or Carolina, whoever reach out, go, Jim and Zach, if the playoffs started today, who are your 4 playoff teams and who's in the championship game?
Okay.
Mine, number 1 seed, Carolina. Albany's 2, 3 is Jacksonville, and 4 is Orlando. Who is in my championship game is Albany and Carolina. That's in my championship game with Carolina winning it all. That is my playoffs right now. That's not based off current standings because that's not current standings. Is Albany, Carolina, Albany, Columbus, and Orlando. So I think Jacksonville is the third seed. I think they get up. They'll toy with Albany, but they won't get the home field. They're in the stretch where there's something happens. There's a pivotal, but that's my 14. So if someone asks me who you think is the championship game right now, Jim, Carolina and Albany, with Carolina winning in Greensboro.
I think top 4 is the same for me too, by the way, if we're going to ask that question. I'm kind of curious though. I do find with Arvell that there is an argument to be made that if you have, say, Albany and Jacksonville lining up in a 2-3, I could see the Sharks upsetting the Empire just off of, depending on if this roster stays healthy and that things keep progressing the way they are.
Yeah.
And then you have a 5th matchup where it's Cobra Sharks again. That's a toss-up for me. I honestly couldn't pick right now. I think I would slightly edge it to the Cobras just because,
home field.
They're going to have more matchups later down the line. And as long as they're staying healthy, every team has an off day,
Which is strange. If that does happen in your prediction, they go Carolina in regular season at home. Then they're at San Antonio, home against Carolina. Then they'll be at Albany. Then they'll be at Carolina. So every other week will be Carolina in that 6-week stretch. So yeah, or actually 7 because there's a bye week between the playoffs and the NAL championship game. So yeah, so if someone asked me that, that. And like I already mentioned earlier in the show, who'd be my MVP? And I always say right now it will be Jonathan Bain. And right now, coach of the year, if someone told me who'd be coach of the year right now, just based on how the season is going, I can't give it to Coach Rez because I think he has the best roster. I got to give it to Jeff Higgins of Orlando right now.
Ooh,
not bad. Just because he got a lot of guys on his team, a lot of inexperienced arena guys, and we're entering week 7, and now you're seeing that team gel. I think that's due to a lot of coaching. So that's my coach of the year. And what's the other award they give out? Who's the Iron Man so far? My mid-season would be Darius Prince, Iron Man, right off the bat. Offensive MVP, probably Jonathan Bain, and defensive MVP. I'll have to say Jermon Fortson, in my opinion. Those are my mid-season awards. If someone would ask, because basically we are entering mid-season. So
right.
Hello.
I'm gonna punt until next week just because I approached this show. I wasn't ready for that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I guess off the top of my head,
you host a show with me in it. You should be expected to this.
Look, fine. You know what? Fine. I'll give you it. Fine. You have coaxed this out of me. That's okay.
Dylon.
So yes. Iron Man right now of the year. To me, it's Darius Prince. Otherwise, I was early favorite is Fortson. Maybe that could change, but right now there isn't enough production for Fortson to me put up. Prince is my guy right now, Iron Man wise, for that award. Offensive Player of the Year. It's either Jonathan Bain or honestly, if you look at numbers, I think Bain. If predictions keep going, I'm going to throw Cato in there. Maybe I just love Rakeem Cato that much, but dude, in his last few games, in his last few contests, 28 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they've lost against Albany and Carolina, but he's throwing it up like a madman. So keep that in mind. I think that's my dark horse. Defensively, yeah, Fortson. I think that's a good option right there. Otherwise, if I'm thinking around the NAL, quite frankly, I could also do, Jesus. I talk like Joe Powell if I'm looking over at Orlando.
Kenny Veal.
Kenny Veal when he's so far when he's
Kenneth
been
Magruder, Hall.
Yeah,
Nick
those
Hag.
are all solid options. Nick Hag, geez, got plenty. I would say, I guess for a definitive, why not go? Yeah, I'll stick with Fortson like you're doing. Honestly,
a specialist right now. I can't go with a kicker. I gotta go with a kick returner, and that's Rakeem. What's his name from San Antonio? Not Rakeem Ko. That's
Khalil Rashad.
Khalil Rashad, yes, from San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
Because of I think he has like 4 touchdown returns for kickoff returns. So he's my specialist. If not, it'll be Or if Roscoe gets healthy, it'd be Roscoe for all the deuces, possibly TC Stevens.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of good guys there. I know it's just short nose, my friend, because it's me. I like to drop knowledge like that, but yeah. So I think it's time to get ready for some Week 7 action of the National League.
I think so. And if you've been tuning in, we're going to basically just usher you into this game. If you're watching this or listening to this while the games are going on, then hey, I mean, more power to you. You've done a great. You've done great. Now you can be playing the hindsight's 2020 game with us. Why not? All right. Well, they got it wrong. It's like, well, yeah, you're watching it after the fact. So congratulations.
We're not doing it now. Yeah.
but yeah, until
we're not
next
college
time,
game day yet, man.
Until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in as always. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at @InWallsPod. Again, that is @InWallsPod. As our good buddy says off show, the ref, hit that bell. It builds morale, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or subscribe on YouTube where you can hit the bell as we are referencing. Be sure to check us out on the National Arena League's website, nationalarenaleague.com, for more, as well as news on the leagues, updates on scores, stats, you name it. And until next time, guys, as always, remember one thing as we send you off to this evening's NAL action.
Don't be a jack in the box. Drive safe and have a great weekend.
Stay tuned, everybody. Catch you later.